Good morning, y'all. So, what's up, Willie? Good to see you. Yeah, new layout today. Here, let me show it off a little bit. Yeah, I decided to update my look of my show. I got tired of like the coffee colors and I wanted more of like where I live, so I put like some cool galaxy colors in front of some foggy nature high really tall trees where it kind of like reminds me of where I live. So yeah, good to see you, Willie. Thanks for stopping by today. This morning Putin did a speech at the nation's State of the Nation. He did an address, State of a Nation address. So I wanted to show his side of what's going on today. So I subscribed after seeing the coverage yesterday. Thanks, Jared. Nice to meet you. Thanks for stopping by and showing up. Thanks. Thank you. Sorry, I get all nervous when people are like, I subscribed. I'm like, oh, I'm so shy. I don't know how to say thank you. So thank you. But yeah, Putin did a State of the Nation address this morning. So I wanted to hear. I've been listening to it already a little bit this morning. We'll skip past this DW news stuff because the news this morning was like Putin lied and stuff. So it was interesting to see what our side is doing with the propaganda of what he's saying. So I decided we'd listen to him, and this is the only channel I can find with like dub overs, so English voiceover. So
into the Russian.
Here we go.
Good morning. Good morning. Dear members of Parliament, members of the Duma, senators, dear citizens of the Russian Federation, this speech comes at a very difficult time, a very crucial moment in our history. We have changes in the world at large. We have historical events that will determine the future of our country, of our nation. Every one of us has a huge responsibility to bear. A year ago, we defended our Russians and we made sure our country is safe. We have decided to remove the dangers coming from the Nazi regime in Ukraine when they have decided to take this path in 2014. Then we have decided to start the special military operation. We are going to solve all out out, step by step. In 2014, the Donbas has started fighting for its right to speak their own language, to defend their homeland. They have overcome the blockade and they have always been under attack. And the persons living there have always hoped that Russia would come to rescue them. You all know very well that we have done everything we could, really everything we could, in order to make sure that this problem could be solved with peaceful means.
It's crazy to hear him talking about 2014 and the Donbass and stuff. We'll hear him talking about the Minsk agreement in a minute. Like, that's pretty much all of our side says. It's like everybody on our side, at least on the Western side in America, is like, Putin just automatically attacked last year for no damn reason. But you listen to his side of the story and he's talking about 2014, which a lot of people, like the people on the gray zone and a lot of other people are talking about. This is something that has been going on for a really long time. It's just people doesn't want to see it. They just want to see, oh, Russia attacked Ukraine a year ago. That's it. Like, they don't want to look any further back than that.
We have negotiated in order to solve this difficult conflict. But another scenario unfolded. The Western leaders have decided not to give peace to the Donbas region, and they have lied. They have dragged their feet. They have closed their eyes on the political murders, the repressions of the regime against people.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was something going to be in London on Saturday. That's awesome. I'll look for it. Maybe I'll cover it and show people out here in America, show people what a real real protest looks like.
The Ukrainian neo-Nazis have committed terror attacks in the Donbas. And battalions were set up. Armament was supplied. And I can say that before the special military operation was started, we have started to negotiate, and we've seen more and more military equipment being delivered there. And we have also seen that the Nazi regime wants to get nuclear weapons. The United States and the West have set up their military bases around us, all around us, and they have developed a theater for future military action, and they have used the Ukraine to prepare for a large war. They are publicly admitting to that. They are proud of their Minsk agreement, the Normandy format, their diplomatic bluff. That was a time when the Donbas was attacked, there was bloodshed, and the Russians wanted to have a peaceful solution, but everybody played against us, and they have used lies.
So I'm not like a pro-Putin puppet or anything. Like, I don't like, Putin myself either, but like you got to give him that, we're giving him fuel for his fire. We're putting so many bases around the world and up against their borders. What do you expect them to do if Russia decided to mix in with Mexico and start putting bases around the Mexico-America border? Like, how would you expect us to start acting? You can't. You have to put your foot in the other person's shoe, like the empathizing yourself with other people's experience and coming up with a logical or some kind of situation in your head where it's the opposite, and see how we would react to that, to see if what we're doing is the right thing. Like I said, I'm not a pro-Putin person or anything like that, but I understand that they have their own propaganda. They're going to be using their own trigger words like freedom and all of that stuff as well. But we do give them fuel for their fire. It's, who burnt a building full of trade unionists alive?
It was an awful method of deceit. And those people have done the same in the West, in Yugoslavia, in Libya, in Syria. It is a shame that is on them. They are not genuine. They are not behaving in an orderly manner. They have got used to the fact that they can do everything they can. They can look down on the whole world. They even do the same to their own people. They are cynical. They lie to them. And they have always talked to their own people that they try to find a peaceful solution in the Security Council. The Western leaders have turned into a totalitarian regimes. We are going not only to defend our own interests, but also our position that in the contemporary world, there should not be a division between the so-called civilized countries and the rest. We want a true partnership, and we do not want aggression and exclusive rights only for some. We are very open to a constructive dialogue with the West, and we insist that we need an equality in the Security Council in the United Nations, and we need to discuss this idea, and we need to work together to make this happen. But we have always received negative reactions, and there were also concrete actions. There was the enlargement of NATO right up to our borders. There was the missile defense regime, the missile system developed. More and more military forces amassed, not only at the Russian borders, but everywhere. No country in the world has as many military bases in the world as the United States. There are hundreds of these bases located everywhere. The whole planet is filled with such bases. It's enough to look at a map.
See, that's what he's saying. He's mentioning the fact that we've got bases all over the world.
They have even declined and denounced the disarmament treaties. They have
we have declined the disarmament treaties. I mean, there's Putin right here talking about how he's willing to talk peacefully to the Americans and the Ukrainians, but we don't want to. I'm going to play Biden's speech right after this first part of it, because it's just really, really long. So once I finish with this, we'll go over to Biden's speech and hear what the Americans are, the American side is saying about this right now, because they did their speech right around the same, like within hours of each other. So, but yeah, here's Putin right here saying he's willing to talk about peace. He's willing. He's willing. I mean, he's probably not going to be, you know, the type of compromise that Americans want, because we want to expand NATO and have Ukraine a part of NATO. But here's at least him saying, I'm willing to talk peace. Yes, there's probably going to be some kind of, you know, back and forth, compromising between each other. But at least he's saying it.
One-sided manner, done everything they can to get out of these agreements. And in December 2021, we have officially sent draft treaties to the United States, to NATO, draft treaties about a security treaty, but we have been not received positively. It became clear that they have aggressive plans, and they're not going to stop such aggressive plans. More and more threats were coming up. We have received more and more information that in 2022 it was everything ready to have an action in the Donbas. In 2014, the Ukrainian government started to send to the Donbas artillery and military airplanes. We have all seen the attacks committed in Donbas. We've seen it everywhere. In 2015, once again, they have taken an attempt to attack the Donbas. They have exercised terror against the peaceful population. All of that was accepted by the Security Council. Everybody pretended nothing is happening there, although we proposed resolutions to be taken. It was them who started the war. We have used our force in order to stop them.
No snowmobiles. I live in the mountains, and I think a couple doors down they're chainsawing something. It's a chainsaw. Sorry, you guys. That's why I was muting myself.
Those who have planned new attacks in Donetsk, Lugansk, Donbas have clearly understood that the next step would go against the Crimea. We have understood this. We have understood the ideas of Kiev.
Yeah, no, and
Kiev is openly talking about it.
Just wait till we get to the Biden speech this morning. It's worse.
In Crimea. We know it. We defend the life of our people, our own home. The West has already spent $150 billion in order to arm the Kiev regime. And as far as the G7 assistance to the third world is concerned, they have just spent $60 million in order to help the poorest country. $150 billion for the war. And for the poorest countries that are getting forgotten, they just get 60. So what does that mean? Should those countries receiving development assistance be genuine and loyal? Where is the money going? But the flow of money for the war is not ending. And the West also supports coup d'etats all around the world. During the Munich Security Conference, they have always accused Russia. They have said Russia acts so that everyone forgets Ukraine. We have now seen that whole regions are in chaos as a result of the wars. And those figures were not invented by us. These are the American countries. The United States have...
We've been
that's the first part of it. Let me bring up the second, the Biden speech now. So, I mean, obviously, as you could tell, like they're saying, the people in the Donbass have been waiting for America for Russia to come and save them. They have their own propaganda, obviously, just like everyone else does. But it's interesting to see that they're out there at least talking to other people, like talking out into the public, like he was doing his speech, about the things that we know we're doing. We know that we're putting in so much money to them, and talking about giving them freedom and in the Minsk agreement and the 2014 coup, and it's good to see at least somebody is out there talking about these parts of it. I'm very anti-war, no matter what. So I think all that money that's going to Ukraine and everywhere else should be actually, sent here. I'm obviously going to be repeating myself, and I know I'm talking or preaching to a choir right now because you guys are all on the same side. But here is Biden's speech. This was about 2 hours ago. So we just heard part of Putin. Now we get to hear Biden. So our mainstream media has warped people into thinking Putin started this, completely obscuring how U.S. and NATO set this up in 2014. Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Ed. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to get everyone to see with this videos.
Hello, Poland. One of our great allies, President Duda, Prime Minister, Mr. Mayor, to all the former ministers and presidents, as well as mayors and Polish political leaders from all across the country. Thank you for welcoming back to Poland. It was nearly 1 year ago. I spoke at the Royal Castle here in Warsaw, just weeks after Vladimir Putin had unleashed his murderous assault on Ukraine. The largest land war in Europe since World War II had begun. And the principles that have been the cornerstone of peace, prosperity, and stability on this planet for more than 75 years were at risk of being shattered. 1 year ago, the world was bracing for the fall of Kyiv. Well, I just come from a visit to Kyiv, and I can report Kyiv stands strong. Kyiv stands proud. It stands tall. And most important, it stands free. When Russia invaded, it wasn't just Ukraine being tested. The whole world faced a test for the ages. Europe was being tested. America was being tested. NATO was being tested. All democracies are being tested.
So because they think that Russia invaded Ukraine a year ago, that the entire world, we were all being tested, because this is God's will. He wants to test us. This is a test, you guys. We're on the failing side, just so you know. At least us anti-war people, we're gonna get big fat Fs. But we're being tested, y'all. Be prepared. We're getting tested. There's a test at the end of the week for this.
The questions we faced were as simple as they were profound. Would we respond, or would we look the other way? Would we be strong, or would we be weak? Would we, all of our allies, would we be united or divided? 1 year later, we know the answer. We did respond. We would be strong. We would be united, and the world would not look the other way. We also face fundamental questions about the commitment to the most basic of principles. Would we stand up for the sovereignty of nations? Would we stand up for the right of people to live free from naked aggression? Would we stand up for democracy? 1 year later, we know the answers. Yes, we would stand up for sovereignty, and we did. Yes, we would stand up for the right of people to live free from aggression, and we did. And we would stand up for democracy, and we did. And yesterday,
that's what they do. See, they we're going to stand up for freedom and democracy, and those are those trigger words that I've told about in my show before. They use these trigger words like freedom, democracy. We're giving them freedom. We're bringing them democracy, when it's not. What we're doing is we're pretty much demolishing their entire country and then bringing our own business executives and CEOs over there to invest Americanized ways, westernized ways, so that way that they can slowly become a part of NATO. And then, we've got more bases set up. Like I was just saying yesterday, I think we just put up 4 new military bases in the Philippines. So it's not like we're not expanding NATO, but he likes to use, the freedom thing. I think, what was it, like Cuba, or no, not Cuba. It was like Vietnam, or one of those, maybe it was the Philippines, where we did the same thing. We were like, let's go for freedom. Let's give them freedom. And that was the propaganda that we were using. We still do it.
I had the honor to stand with President Zelensky in Kyiv to declare that we will keep standing up for these same things, no matter what.
Yeah.
When President Putin ordered his tanks to roll into Ukraine,
yes, thank you, shaking the buzzwords. Yeah,
he was wrong. The Ukrainian people are too brave. America, Europe, a coalition of nations from the Atlantic to the Pacific, we were too unified. Democracy was too strong. Instead of an easy victory he perceived and predicted, Putin left with burnout tanks and Russia's forces in disarray. He thought he'd get the Finlandization of NATO. Instead, he got the NATOization of Finland and Sweden.
The NATOization of wow, listen to him. See, like, at least when Putin was talking, he was talking about America leaders itself, what America as a culture, like this war hawk culture that we have, is bringing this to other countries. When he talks about this whole Ukraine-Russia thing, he talks about Russia, like Putin himself. He like talks to Putin, and it's so demoralizing to that, like, talk to the people of Russia. Like, what are the people of Russia wanting? At least with the way that people are running around here in America with yellow and blue flags on their profile pictures, and people going around saying that they're siding with Ukraine. At least there's this cultural thing in America that says that we're for this war right now, kind of like how we did after 9/11, where everybody's like, okay, but I'm not for war, but fuck it, like, we have to fight back the terrorists, and now it's like we have to. It's just like, to me, it's like a continuation of the Red Scare, this anti-communist thing, but now we're just talking about Russia and Putin himself. Like, we've changed the word communism because communism has gotten actually a little bit of good lighting over the last few years or so. And so to maybe hold on, like, try to snatch us up, like, the people that are okay with communism and know the actual definition of communism, maybe he can like trip us up and mislead us by saying Putin is evil instead of communism is evil. So
he thought NATO would fracture and divide. Instead, NATO is more united and more unified.
Don't worry, Les Bones. I'm seeing him. Whenever he deletes them, I still see him.
Than ever before. He thought he could weaponize energy.
France does the best protests.
Instead, we're working together to end Europe's dependence on Russian fossil fuels. He thought autocrats like himself were tough and leaders of democracy were soft.
So see that he's just right there. Autocracies are tough and leaders of democracy are soft. Like, how are you not calling yourself or calling him an autocratist and not calling yourself an autocratist? I looked that up today. Autocratic, relating to a ruler who has absolute power, taking no account to other people's wishes or opinions, domineering. Like, okay, we don't have, well, we kind of do here in America have like a ruler. I mean, that would be like the CIA and, the deep state, the people who have like permanent jobs, not these puppets that come up and be a president every 4 to 8 years, or Congress and, Senate like that. But, there are some deep states that are making decisions without us. Like, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline was a decision made, the shooting down these Russian balloons and blah, blah, blah. Like, there are decisions that are being made beyond the president's control, which means that there is something even deeper in the government that's there on a permanent basis that's able to make decisions that are above the three systems that we have. which isn't democratic. That's technically, it would be considered an autocratic in a way. And they do not take account in our wishes or our opinions at all. Like if they did, then we wouldn't be giving money to Ukraine all the time. And he wouldn't be in Poland right now. He would be in Ohio right now. Right? Am I correct or am I tripping? This is why my show's name is What, because like, it's like, what?
And then he met the iron will of America and the nations everywhere that refused to accept the world governed by fear and force. He found
sorry,
war.
Just you guys that are here right now. If you hear that, I'm sorry. I live in the mountains. I think somebody is chopping down or trimming a tree or something. It's one of those things. It's a chainsaw.
With a nation led by a man whose courage would be forged in fire and steel, President Zelensky. President Putin is confronted with something today that he didn't think was possible a year ago. The democracies of the world have grown stronger, not weaker. But the autocrats of the world have grown weaker, not stronger. Because in the
tell that to BRICS
people in uncertainty, that knowing what you stand for is most important. And knowing who stands with you makes all the difference. The people of Poland know that. You know that. In fact, you know it better than anyone here in Poland, because that's what solidarity means.
Hey, John, thanks so much for the super chat. That's so awesome of you. Aw, appreciate it. Thank you.
Through partition and oppression.
Of course, I'd start back when he's like,
the Warsaw Uprising. During decades under the iron fist of communist rule, Poland endured because you stood together. That's how brave leaders of the opposition and the people of Belarus continue to fight for their democracy. That's how the resolve of Moldovan people, the resolve of the people of Moldova to live in freedom, gained them independence and put them on the path to EU membership.
There, see how he did that? He put two things completely opposite together to make us think that they go together, that the people want freedom and democracy and that we need to add them into the EU so that way they can have it. That's not the only way for people to get a sovereign country, a democracy. All you got to do is want that kind of system. Wow. The things that with the words that we use, like you were saying, Shake and Bacon, the buzzwords that we use for our imperialism is insane to me.
Sandu is here today. I'm not sure who she is, but I'm proud to stand with you and the freedom-loving people of Moldova.
Yeah, exactly, Mensa. Like that's part of the reason why I disagree with a lot of libertarians and Republicans is because they always talk about lesser and lesser and lesser government regulations. You know, we need a smaller government. But they don't realize is like us lessening the government regulations is what's causing our country to falter and fall apart. I mean, I think the railroads that these trains are on right now in Ohio are like almost 100 years old. So, and they haven't been remade or redone or anything like that. I'm pretty sure the regulations 100 years ago was way different than it is now, especially with the kind of trains that we have and what they're capable of doing and like the speed and things like that compared to, you know, steam engines or whatever they had back then. So yeah, no, I absolutely agree.
1 year in
right, bring Joe Evans on.
No longer doubts the strength of our coalition, but he still doubts our conviction. He doubts our staying power. He doubts our continued support for Ukraine. He doubts whether NATO can remain unified. But
doubts our support for Ukraine and doubts that NATO can remain unified. Just kind of sliding Ukraine in there with that NATO talk, huh?
Should be no doubt.
You're going to run in 2024? That's right. John DeLau, 2024. Let's go.
Our support for Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided, and we will not tire.
Man.
President Putin's craven lust for land and power will fail, and the Ukrainian people's love for their country will prevail. Democracy.
Russia's lust for land and power, you mean America too, right? Like I love how they just, like I said on the internet yesterday or this week sometime when Kamala Harris was talking about how Russia did acts of war crimes. It's that perfect example of pointing that finger at somebody else while not looking at the three that are pointing back at you, fool. I don't understand how it's just that it reminds me of just the epitome of narcissism. It's just that victim mentality. Narcissism is like, it's your fault that I'm feeling this way, and I'm going to make you suffer because of it.
The world will stand guard over freedom today, tomorrow, and forever. So that's what's at stake here. Freedom. That's the message I carried to Kyiv yesterday.
Right, exactly, Ed. NATO, from what I know of, NATO was only made to fight back against USSR, and the USSR is done. Like, yeah, okay, Putin used to be a Kremlin, but that's not, that doesn't mean the USSR is around. Berlin Wall fell and all that fun stuff. Like, we have history books. Why are we still going around saying NATO is important?
Came to the United States in December, quote, he said, this struggle will define the world and what our children and grandchildren, how they live, and then their children and grandchildren. He wasn't only speaking about the children and grandchildren of Ukraine. He was speaking about all of our children and grandchildren, yours and mine. We're seeing again today what the people of Poland and the people across Europe saw for decades. Appetites of the autocrat cannot be appeased. They must be opposed. Autocrats only understand one word: no, no, no. No, you will not take my country. No, you will not take my freedom. No, you will not take my future. And I'll repeat.
Warren, what's up, Warren?
A dictator, then I'm rebuilding an empire, will never be able to ease the people's love of liberty. Brutality will never grind down the will of the free. Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
Rick, Jared.
For free people refuse to live in a world of hopelessness and darkness. No, this has been an extraordinary year in every sense.
Nikki, what's up, Nikki?
From Russian forces.
Thanks for stopping by. You got to get on later so I can read you.
Without shame or compunction.
You moved over to the East Coast and now you're ahead of me, and I don't know what to do with myself.
As a weapon of war, stolen Ukrainian children in an attempt to steal Ukraine's future.
I'm Jimmy. That's me. I'm Jimmy.
Schools and orphanages.
I'm Jimmy.
No one.
I know your time is all messed up. I know.
The atrocities Russia is committing against the Ukrainian people.
Yeah, you've got to be. I couldn't imagine moving 3 hours ahead and having to live like that after your whole life.
Has been the response of the Ukrainian people and the world. 1 year after
Highways of the Otter, welcome.
Russian tanks rolled into Ukraine.
The one in the box.
Still independent and free. From Kherson to Kharkiv, Ukrainian fighters have reclaimed their land. More than 50% of the territory Russia held last year.
Exactly, Brad. Gaslighting. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming back.
President Zelensky still leads a democratically elected government that represents the will of the Ukrainian people. The world has already voted multiple times, including the United Nations General Assembly, to condemn Russia's aggression and support a just peace. Each time in the UN, that vote has been overwhelming. In October, 143 nations of the United Nations condemned Russia's illegal annexation.
Billy says hi, Nikki.
Four in the entire UN voted with Russia. 4. So tonight, I speak once more to the people of Russia. The United States and the nations of Europe do not seek to control or destroy Russia. The West was not plotting to attack Russia, as Putin said today. And millions of Russian citizens who only want to live in peace with their neighbors are not the enemy.
Not yet. I will. Okay, right now. Listen to Biden.
President Putin chose this war. Every day the war continues is his choice.
Okay.
He could end the war with a word.
Come over to YouTube.
It's simple. If Russia stopped invading Ukraine, it would end the war. If Ukraine stopped defending itself against Russia, it would be the end of Ukraine.
I know. I'm getting them, though. See, I'm getting them.
Can defend itself. The United States has assembled a worldwide coalition of more than 50 nations to get critical weapons and supplies to the brave Ukrainian fighters on the front lines. Air defense systems, artillery, ammunition, tanks, armored vehicles. The European Union and its member states have stepped up with unprecedented commitment to Ukraine, not just in security assistance, but economic and humanitarian refugee assistance and so much more. To all of you here tonight, take a moment, and I'm serious when I say this, turn around and look at one another. Look at what you've done so far. Poland is hosting more than 1.5 million refugees from this war. God bless you.
All right, you guys, I'm turning around and I'm looking at you. What have we done so far? Because I haven't done shit. I'm just saying. And I love that he's like, look at how much you've done. You Ukrainians are hosting a whole bunch of refugees. Like, there wouldn't have been refugees if we would have just kept it, you know, the way it is. And plus, why are you so okay with them keeping those refugees, but then our refugees at our border from Haiti, Cuba, Dominican Republic, South America, all of these other countries that are dealing with what we're doing to them, and we're like, nah, we got to keep them out of our country. We can't have these refugees. Title 42 is going to stay. Like, is this guy for real right now? Like, is this the timeline that we're on? Because, like I've been hearing a lot lately, we are on the bad timeline for sure.
Poland's generosity, your willingness to open your hearts and your homes is extraordinary. And the American people are united in our resolve as well. All across my country, in big cities and small towns, Ukrainian flags fly from American homes. Over the past year, Democrats and Republicans in our United States Congress have come together to stand for freedom. That's who Americans are, and that's what Americans do.
Jesus.
The world is also coming together.
That cocaine hit right there. That was like his little moment. He either said do or his jaw was going to go,
To address the global fallout from President Putin's war. Putin tried to starve the world, blocking the ports in the Black Sea to stop Ukraine from exporting its grain, exacerbating the global food crisis that hit developing nations in Africa especially hard.
We do that to other countries too. We sanction them. Look at what we're doing to, you know, multiple other countries. Look at what we're doing to Yemen with Saudi Arabia, like what we're allowing Saudi Arabia to do to Yemen right now. Are you kidding me?
Instead, the United States and the G7 and partners around the world answered the call with historic commitments to address the crisis.
Thanks, Brad.
Bolster.
Thank you.
And this week, my wife,
we're in the
Jill
mirror
Biden,
universe. Blame
traveling
sir.
to Africa to help bring attention to this critical issue. Our commitment is to the people of Ukraine and the future of Ukraine. A Ukraine that's free, sovereign, and democratic. That was the dream of those who declared Ukraine's independence more than 30 years ago, who led the Orange Revolution and the Revolution of Dignity, who braved ice and fire in the Maidan, and the Heavenly 100 who died there, and those who continue still to root out Kremlin's efforts to corrupt, coerce, and control. It's a dream for those Ukrainian patriots who fought for years against Russia's aggressions in the Donbass, and the heroes who've given everything, given their lives in the service of their beloved Ukraine.
So there's our hyperbolicism. Earlier we heard Putin say that, you know, the people in the Donbass were waiting and hoping and wanting Russia to come and save them. And then here's the opposite side. So, you know, the only way we're really going to know the truth about any of this, because all we're hearing is propaganda, you know, when it comes to that kind of stuff on both sides. The only way we're ever going to know the truth is if somebody goes to those areas and asks every single one of those people. That's it. Why is nobody going down there and polling those people? Like, even the people that are on the ground for mainstream news are only talking to people that agree with them too. So
I was honored to visit their memorial in Kyiv yesterday to pay tribute to the sacrifice of those who lost their lives, standing alongside President Zelensky. The United States and our partners stand with Ukraine's teachers, its hospital staff, its emergency responders, the workers in cities across Ukraine.
Oh, thank you.
To keep the power on.
That's cool. I'm a nice alternative to redacted. I like that.
In the face of Russia's cruel bombardment, we stand with the millions of refugees of this war who found a welcome in Europe and the United States, particularly here in Poland. Ordinary people all across Europe did whatever they could to help and continue to do so. Polish businesses, civil society, cultural leaders, including the First Lady of Poland, who is here tonight, have led with the heart and determination, showcasing all that's good about the human spirit. Madam First Lady, we love you. Thank you all. I'll never forget last year visiting with refugees from Ukraine who had just arrived in Warsaw. Seeing their faces, exhausted and afraid, holding their children so close, worrying they may never see their fathers, their husbands, their brothers and sisters.
Then take your weapons out of Ukraine.
In that darkest moment of their lives, you, the people of Poland, offer them safety and light. You embrace them. You literally embrace them. I watched the looks on their faces. Meanwhile, together we made sure that Russia is paying the price for its abuses. We continue to maintain the largest sanction regime ever imposed in any country in history. And we're going to announce more sanctions this week together with our partners. We'll hold accountable those who are responsible for this war, and we'll seek justice for the war crimes and crimes against humanity continuing to be committed by the Russians.
Here he goes again with crimes against humanity. Like, we haven't done that over there and to multiple other places over the years. Are you kidding me? You literally blew up Nord Stream pipeline, is trying to cover it up, which can cause energy loss in the, for Russia, which is a crime of humanity. So, this is crazy to me. I'm so glad you guys are watching this with me, because usually I'd just be sitting here in my house by myself, like watching it on my phone, like, fuck you, Joe Biden.
There is much for us to be proud of over all that we have achieved together this past year. But we have to be honest and clear-eyed as we look at the year ahead. The defense of freedom is not the work of a day or of a year. It's always difficult. It's always important.
Right, look in the mirror, Joe.
Ukraine continues to defend itself against the Russian onslaught and launch counteroffensive of its own. There will continue to be hard and very bitter days. Victories and tragedies. But Ukraine is steel for the fight ahead. And the United States, together with our allies and partners, are going to continue to have Ukraine's back as it defends itself. Next year, I will host every member of NATO for our 2024 summit in the United States. Together, we'll celebrate the 75th anniversary of the strongest defensive alliance in the history of the world, NATO. And let there be no doubt, the commitment of the United States to our NATO alliance and Article 5 is rock solid. And every member of NATO knows it, and Russia knows it as well. An attack against one is an attack against all.
Yeah, but Ukraine isn't a part of NATO yet, so why are you even saying stuff like this? Like, you're already acting as if Ukraine is part of NATO. Like, way to manipulate the regular people who don't pay attention to politics are going to sit here and say, now they're going to have a talking point and a fighting point of Ukraine is a part of NATO, and then we got to sit there and argue with them and get into the semantics of that. Like, when was Ukraine a part of NATO? Please let me know. And then he's going to say, well, Joe Biden said that he is, and that we're for. When was Ukraine a part of NATO? Please. Maybe that'll help them get into the research of all of this and the prehistory of just except of just what they were believing a year ago, that it just happened a year ago. I don't know. But that shit's crazy to me.
It's a sacred oath. Sacred oath to defend every inch.
Oh, Willie, I've seen grown-ups hard for World War III. I mean, we were ready to go to World War III for against Afghanistan and Iran and a bunch of other places, too. 9/11 was a big, scary one. I mean, I remember back when Trump was president, there was like a week or two that we were afraid that North Korea was going to bomb us. We're always, always, always worrying and scaring ourselves into thinking that there's going to be World War III, and it's freaking ridiculous.
Sorry. Over the past
exactly.
year,
It's never been, never will be.
The United States has come together with our allies and partners in an extraordinary coalition to stand against Russian aggression. But the work in front of us is not just what we're against. It's about what we're for. What kind of world do we want to build? We need to take the strength and capacity of this coalition and apply it to lifting up the lives of people everywhere, improving health, growing prosperity, preserving the planet, building peace and security, treating everyone with dignity.
Brad!
That's our responsibility.
All right, I will take a nice hit for that one. I like that. Let's go, Brandon.
In my view, at an inflection point. The decisions we make over the next 5 years or so are going to determine and shape our lives for decades to come. That's true for Americans. It's true for the people of the world. And while decisions are ours to make now, the principles and the stakes are eternal. The choice between chaos and stability, between building and destroying, between hope and fear, between democracy that lifts up the human spirit and the brutal hand of the dictator who crushes it, between nothing less than limitation and possibilities. The kind of possibilities
yeah, Willie, it's like Cold War 2.0 right now.
Live not in captivity, but in freedom. 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 There is no sweeter word than freedom. There is no nobler goal than freedom. There's no higher aspiration than freedom. Americans know that, and you know it.
Yes, Ed.
And
I will
all
do
that we do now
bong rips for
must be
super
done.
chat tips. It was on Sunday. I think we were doing it on Sunday. So I was like, $2. All right. I know Shane was like, Jimmy, you got to do it for more than $2. You're going to end up being baked. I was like, you should have seen me on Sunday. Fools had me 3 bowls deep after like 2 hours.
So our children and grandchildren will know it
Take
as
an
well.
edible.
Freedom.
Oh,
The
God.
enemy of the tyrant and the hope of the brave.
You
and the
guys
truth
are the
of ages.
mods.
Freedom.
Hook it up. Help out. I don't know
Stand
what
with
to
us.
do.
We will stand with you.
I was not expecting this.
Let us move
Like
forward.
when you start a show, you always think like you got a thing going, you got a specific thing. Like Ed's got his pizza, or they, over at Harlan's Media and all that, they got like, their pizza thing or whatever. I did not think mine was going to be bong rips because I have been trying to be very professional this whole time, y'all.
With faith and conviction.
Americans don't have
abiding
freedom.
commitment to be allies, not of darkness but of light.
It was Punks Against the
Not of
World.
oppression but of liberation. Not of captivity but
Was
yes,
she really
freedom.
Rachel Maddow? I'm gonna look
May
it
God
up.
bless you all. May God protect our troops. And may God bless the heroes of Ukraine and all those who defend freedom around the world. Thank you, Poland. Thank you, thank you, thank you for what you're doing. God bless you all.
Rachel Maddow.
President Putin not backing down, in fact, being more aggressive. Let's go now to Clarissa Ward, who is in Ukraine for us in Kyiv. Obviously, the speech was had, and I'm sure it was being watched by the leadership there in Ukraine.
I don't know why it
What are you hearing
automatically
from them?
goes to CNN. Rage Against the War Machine. Yeah, I'm not seeing. I see Sabi covered it. I'm not seeing like actual Rachel Maddow. Let me see. Oh, she was on the Hill talking about it. Okay. I will show it. Let's see what Rachel Maddow had to say about the Rage Against the War Machine. This is interesting. It was just a part of her show? Okay.
And I mean truly random rally on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. A rally in support of Russia, I guess, given all the Russian flags, at least a rally against the U.S. supporting Ukraine in trying to stand up against the Russian invasion of their country. This was a tiny event. It was small. It was a weird assemblage of Americans. There were Proud Boys there. There were some of the white supremacist groups she'd recognized from the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville a few years ago. Also represented prominently the remains of the bizarre Lyndon LaRouche cult. There were a lot of people with Russian flags, also the occasional flag of the former Soviet Union. Also, at least one person who guest hosts for Tucker Carlson on the Fox News channel was there as a featured speaker. There were anti-vaccine conspiracy theorists, a lot of them. There were cryptocurrency promoters. It was a really weird group. It was a small...
Wow. She really fucking went there. I cannot believe her. Dude, screw Rachel Maddow. Wow. I'm trying to like scan the rest of it to see if there's any more, because that's just rude. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Play it again? Sure.
And I mean truly random rally on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. A rally in support of Russia, I guess, given all the Russian flags, at least a rally against the U.S. supporting Ukraine in trying to stand up against the Russian invasion of their country. This was a tiny event. It was small. It was a weird assemblage of Americans. There were Proud Boys there. There were some of the white supremacist groups she'd recognized from the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville a few years ago. Also represented prominently the remains of the bizarre Lyndon LaRouche cult. There were a lot of people with Russian flags, also the occasional flag of the former Soviet Union. Also, at least one person who guest hosts for Tucker Carlson on the Fox News channel was there as a featured speaker. There were anti-vaccine conspiracy theorists, a lot of them. There were cryptocurrency promoters. It was a really weird group. It was a small...
Wow. I mean, I wasn't there. I obviously, like you guys know, I covered it on here, but I don't remember seeing a lot of what she said. I don't remember seeing Proud Boys. I don't remember seeing, I mean, if you want to call like Jackson Hinkle a cryptocurrency and maybe call, even though I'm pretty sure what she was trying to say was Jimmy Dore was an anti-vax conspiracy theorist, even though he's gotten the vaccine. So I don't know. There's just the way that, like you guys were saying, the way that she put it, that the words that she was saying, that's gross. That's gross. Yeah, see, there were people there too, and they were. I would agree with her. It was smaller than what I was hoping to see there, but yeah, that's crazy. Me, Rachel Maddow's a propagandist. Just give her some mushroom tea without knowing and she'll change.
That was how MSNBC.
Well, that's good that at least Rising is interviewing Sabby Sabs about this, because she was there. So
Maddow chose to describe the Rage Against the War Machine rally this past weekend. Host of the Sabby Sabs podcast and co-host of the Revolutionary Blackout Network, Sabrina Salvati, joins us to discuss her experience at the rally firsthand. Welcome, Sabrina. Speakers, the content of the speeches, because there was just so much controversy leading into this event. I think a lot of folks just want to have a sense of how it felt on the ground.
Yes, I would say I talked to Jill Stein, and Jill said she estimated it was about approximately 1,000 people that showed up for the event. I thought the event went very great. I thought the speeches were amazing and phenomenal. So I covered the entire event. I streamed the entire event, along with a lot of other people as well. There was a lot of controversy surrounding this event, and I want to explain to people that I do understand both sides of that controversy. There were some people who were against the event because they felt like marginalized groups were not centered in this particular rally, and they felt that we should not unite with people that do not agree with marginalized groups' issues. But I also
wait, there was a group of people who were not for the rally because the marginalized groups were not included in this. Was DJ Elf 7 there? Just asking. I'm asking for a friend.
also understand the other side of the criticism, which was for people who supported the event, pushing back on that.
He was Willie,
well, because they felt like
I was just making a joke. I wasn't. So usually when you hear about somebody anti-protesting protesters in the East Coast, complaining about marginalized communities not being included in something like an anti-war rally, it's usually DJ Elf 7 that that usually likes to protest that stuff, because that's like his passion kind of thing. So
is to stop a nuclear war, and we have to rebuild.
He said he wasn't going to it.
Movement in this country, and in order to do that, that means that we may have to unite with people that agree with us on this particular issue. They may not agree with us on the other issues, but when it comes to being anti-war in this country, they do agree with us on this issues. That's how you get those numbers out there. So I think that people need to look back to something like the Vietnam War. The last time that we had a large anti-war movement in this country were the Vietnam protests. Now you need to ask, why is that? There are two factors here. Number one, during the Vietnam War, the United States government implemented the draft. So there were a lot of Americans that were directly affected by that war. And two, mainstream media actually showed civilian casualties during the Vietnam War, which you do not see broadcast today in reference to wars. You didn't see it for Afghanistan, you didn't see it for Iraq either. So the American people were able to see the number of civilian casualties that were affected as a result as well. And I think that's why the numbers increase. But here we are today in the age of internet, in the age of social media, Twitter and Facebook, and we struggle to get large numbers out. So this rally that you saw, this is probably going to be the largest anti-war rally that you see this year.
Right.
And I want people to fully understand, if we want to get 15,000 people out in the streets, such as they had during the Vietnam protests, you're going to have to reach different people. You're going to have to work across the aisle. Now, people seem to have no problem with this when it's politicians who do this in D.C. They call it bipartisanship. But when we do it on the outside to unite over one particular issue, it's a big problem for a lot of people. And that's really unfortunate.
So I completely agree with you on all that. You know, we don't have the luxury of just, getting together with people you totally agree with. You know, that's a small contingent for many of us. You have to unite people who are passionate about ending the war, or at least confronting what's going on, even if there are other disagreements. And that's always been how anti-war causes or causes that became as big and influential as an anti-war cause in the past have done. I want to ask, and I don't want to dwell on just criticisms of the rally. But one of the other criticism, I think, is that some people are accusing the rally of featuring speakers who are not actually anti-war, who have a pro-Russia bent. There were some Russian flags, given that Russia is...
I agree, John. They didn't even cover it on the news, so...
Then, so the accusation being by platforming
Thanks,
those people, you're
Les
actually not platforming anti-war speakers, you're just platforming like anti-Ukraine speakers.
Yeah, so I want to speak on that for just a second. I wasn't actually an organizer for this event. If I were an organizer, were there different people that I would have invited? Yes, I think some of the people would have been the same, but some of the people would have been different. So I totally understand that rhetoric as well. But I also want people to understand, Rachel Maddow has talking about this, and she's saying there were Russian flags as well. There were also Ukraine flags, and mainstream media isn't showing that. There's a reason for that. So here is thousands of people getting together to call for peace negotiations.
Right. It's just Rachel Maddow picking and choosing like little things that she can tell her audience is really, really bad and it's horrible. And it looks like a bunch of right-wing communists, anarchy people getting together and doing an anti-war rally because, we support Ukraine around here. That's my impression of Rachel Maddow. She's right.
And mainstream media is already smearing this as a pro-Russia, pro-Putin rally here. These are thousands of people coming together asking the United States government to call for peace and to stop giving billions of dollars to Ukraine. And what people have to really understand is I've been a part of multiple rallies and events, and these types of critiques come up every single time. When I participated in the marches for Medicare for All 2 years ago, that was another criticism, that we didn't like the speakers, so you guys shouldn't participate. How dare you have a speaker who's a doctor, a medical professional, who agrees with Medicare for All, who's conservative? Shame on you. So they smeared those events as well. People need to understand that this is a distraction. It doesn't matter who the speaker is. There are going to be those voices that are going to attack it because they want to weaken support for it. What people should be more upset about is the fact that instead of giving billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, instead of giving them packages which include health care, which include clean water, we need to be advocating for those things people right in this country, for Americans right here. Where's the billions of dollars for people in Flint? Where's the billions of dollars for people in Jackson, Mississippi? Where's the billions of dollars for the Bronx? Where's the billions of dollars to stop the poverty and the homelessness crisis that we have in this country? That's what people should be focusing on. Our government has shown us multiple times that they have the money. The money is there. They just don't want to give it to us. So we cannot be distracted by people focusing on who the speakers are. If you do not like the speakers, start your own rally and organize your own base around that. That is just a distraction. I have to be clear there. Sorry about that, Robbie. But that is so frustrating sometimes.
No, I agree with you. I wanted to give you
They did the same thing last year, like with the boycott student debt. They didn't like the name, the word. There's a it's so funny. There was a couple people here at KRTD that didn't like the name boycott or the title boycott because, and then it got into like this whole distraction. I'm glad they ended up having that anyway. Like it always happens like this. There's always people that distract others from preparing to do something really big by saying, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, or it's extremely disappointing. We constantly do this to ourselves. This is why the right makes fun of us and says that we can't organize for the life of us when, they completely succeeded, obviously, since even like the Tea Party time. So, this is just what we do.
To respond to that accusation. I absolutely agree with your point. And I think it's harmful to the cause of the anti-war movement to try to portray this as just as just pro-Russian as, you know, mainstream voices like Rachel Maddow are doing, which is because they don't actually want anti-war voices to prevail.
Yeah, I'm curious. You know, I haven't watched that Rachel Maddow clip, but
I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up, Nikki. Here you go.
Be one thing that people were saying, I am anti-war. I believe in the value of an anti-war rally. And in fact, I hope to participate and want an invitation to the next anti-war rally. I Rachel Maddow, would love to use my platform to draw attention to it and to maybe be a speaker at said event.
Yeah, where's the rally she's hosting?
Exactly.
I'm waiting.
Or even just want to participate, even show up at, or even just to make the statement on air, hi, my name is Rachel Maddow and I am against war. But
welcome, Nikki.
To say that would implicate them in the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
No, it doesn't.
Force them.
That's what's great about that's what I like about Norman is he'll write something. Sometimes it won't make sense, and then he'll automatically delete it. He does this constantly. I don't realize that he's doing it when I'm doing a show because it'll show up on my thing on StreamYard anyway, even if he deletes it. So.
Something about wanting.
Yeah, exactly. Norman types in disappearing ink. He does this all the time. It's so funny. You're from Ireland, live mainland Europe. You ask me who will win the war. Mainland, of course, USA is not mainland. Mainland Russia? China? You think China's going to win it?
The war to end. And in this media environment, even saying, I think we should be pushing toward a settlement. I think the goal of
US I'm covering the same thing right now.
Open war, open conflict.
As who?
Is
RBN?
To be characterized as pro-Putin, is to be characterized as anti-Ukraine and not to have their interests at heart and to want Ukraine to
and it's the easiest thing in the world to tear down.
Oh my gosh, I am. How funny.
If you're not doing anything constructive.
Yes, and that I'm so glad you brought up the Medicare for All protest 2 years ago, Sabby, because that smear campaign was even more pronounced. Now, you did, partly because you did mention there were some speakers that if you were planning this Rage Against the War rally, you would not have invited. So just so that the audience can have a better sense of what we're talking about here, can you go through some
I like
of the speakers,
I like Robbie.
That were there, the ones that you were happy to hear from and perhaps would have invited yourself, and then help us to understand why there were some other speakers that were controversial and why.
Yes. So case in foremost, you know, there's a lot of focus on Jimmy Dore, Jackson Hinkle, and I want to let everyone know who was not there and hasn't seen the footage yet. Chris Hedges also spoke at that rally. Max Blumenthal spoke at that rally. You know, Cynthia McKinney sent a video. Roger Waters sent a video. Tara Reid spoke at that rally.
Yep.
Kim Iverson spoke at that rally. Dennis Kucinich spoke at that rally. And the clip that Rachel Maddow chose to use was of Tulsi Gabbard.
Yep.
She's smearing this as it was a Proud Boys right-wing pro-Russia event with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised that Rachel Maddow didn't add Jimmy Dore into all of that. You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's why I was saying she only mentioned one person, which was Tulsi, but then she was like, you know, anarchists and anti-vaxxers and stuff. Like, I'm surprised she didn't put up Jimmy Dore on there because Jimmy Dore goes on Tucker Carlson. So I was surprised. I was actually surprised that she didn't put that on there. You missed Chris Hedges. I think he was one of the first people that were on. So no, KRTD's not dead.
Very few turnout. If there was very few turnout, then why are you talking about it?
Right.
So people need to ask these kinds of questions. But for me, I mean, I think that some of the criticism came from Jackson Hinkle being invited as a speaker. There were a couple people that did drop out of the rally because of that. I think most of you guys know, like Code Pink did ask Medea Benjamin not to be a speaker.
But she was there. She was there still. She still supported the rally, just like Willie was saying this morning on his show when he had Yankee Tanky on this morning. He was saying, but she was there. She was still there supporting it. She didn't want to speak with those people, but she still supported it. And that's still good. I think from what I was hearing, I guess it was the people of Code Pink, like the actual people in the organization that didn't want to speak or anything, but she still wanted to go. And that's the way to do it. Like, okay, you didn't speak, but you still went. And that shows support. And that's an allyship.
She was at the rally.
Yeah, and that's what's I know I hate it so much, Shaken. I have to admit that he had one of the best speeches, and it's still one of the ones that stood out to me too, because at the very end he said, "Don't let this energy end here. Like, we've got to keep continuing to do this even after Sunday. Like, something needs to be done. We need a homework assignment. We need to keep this going. Something needs to happen, or else it's just going to be a rally with really great energy. Everyone's going to go home and nothing's ever going to get done," which is pretty much the epitome of what the left has been for so long. We've got to go to the next step. And that's what I really liked about his speech. It really, yeah, you're right. I know, I hate to say it, but he had a really good speech, especially, well, at least a good speech at the end of his speech was really, 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 really good.
He did support the rally.
I know,
some
waits
people
for
had
booze.
criticism there with him being invited. And then also Tulsi Gabbard was another one that came up. Now, I would not have invited Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I understand that she's good on this.
That reminds me of like the End of the World cartoon video from like 2003 on the internet, where it's like, "But I am late tired." And he's like, "Okay, have a cigarette," and then fires and missiles.
This particular issue with Russia and Ukraine, we need to call for peace. But I don't consider Tulsi Gabbard to be anti-war based on what I've seen. So I personally
probably helped write Jackson's speech.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard still supports drone strikes, and she still supports economic war. So I think that here's something I think we need to talk about on the left, and for those who are on the right and libertarians as well. What do we mean by anti-war? Because when I say anti-war, I'm not just talking about on the battlefield. I'm talking about economic warfare as well. I'm talking about the sanctions that are being implemented on people in Afghanistan right now. So I think we need to define that or redefine that, what it means to be anti-war. But I know that Tulsi is opposed to regime change.
I haven't watched Jackson in so long.
That's fine and dandy, but that still doesn't make you anti-war if you're supporting the other ones. So I think, me personally, I would not have invited her, but did that stop me from attending the event? No. Some people had criticism about Jackson Hinkle because they said that on his show, he was actually supporting Russia, that he was saying, yes, let's cheering on Russia. I haven't seen that. I haven't watched that in a while, but that is what some of the criticism that had come out from about the people that were invited. And my thing is, again, I did not organize this event. I think that there were criticism about there not being a number of African Americans that were speaker for this rally as well. One of the things I did find out at the rally is apparently some of the speakers actually reached out to the organizers and asked if they could speak. So I think that may be a piece that some people are not aware of, but I understand that criticism as well. But like I said, Bree, I've been a part of multiple events and multiple rallies, and there's always these criticism and attacks about the speakers as well. So it's really unfortunate. I mean,
well, that's kind of sad that there was people that were wanting to speak and the organizers didn't allow them to, because then that makes you kind of think like, was there a little bit of just like, oh, we just want these big speakers to speak because we're clout chasing, or why couldn't regular people speak as well? Like, you know, other people who are maybe organizers in their own communities and things like that. Why couldn't, I mean, I know that there was an after speech, like after they walked to the White House and there was the little speaker, little circle area there, but I don't know. That doesn't seem right that there was some people that wanted to speak that weren't allowed to speak. Because I think like maybe some organizers of local areas probably would have been a good idea to have speak as well.
Supposed to do, like, you can't, there's nobody
exactly,
in
they
this
aren't in the
country that I
network.
agree with on every single particular issue.
I know, it makes you
But
think like maybe there was some kind of a little bit of a clout chasing maybe going on. I mean, it is MPI, and I'm pretty sure Nick Branya is a clout chaser, so yeah. Because I'm pretty sure Sabby probably would have been a good speaker too. So what if Sabby was going to speak? You know, what if she wanted to speak? That would have been a good one.
Do I agree on libertarians? I agree with them on being anti-war.
Oh, sorry about that, Jared.
I agree with them on that issue.
I'll rewind it a little bit.
I agree with on every single particular issue. But where do I agree on libertarians? I agree with them on being anti-war. I agree with them on that issue. So yes, we can work together on that issue. When it comes to other issues like Medicare for all, when it comes to canceling student loan debt, I need to work together with people who agree on those issues. But I think for me, just smearing people and saying that they're pro-Putin because they're calling for peace, I think it's absolutely ridiculous at this point.
Right. And Rachel Maddow has a platform with which to call for peace if she so chooses. So she uses that platform to malign your efforts and efforts of, people like us. So it's pretty interesting. Thank you so much for.
Oh, sorry. Damn. Well, good for Sabby for going on there and doing that. At least that's awesome of her. And I can't believe Rachel Maddow would do something like that. That's so crazy to me. Wow. Let's see. What else do I got where we could show? Oh, did you guys see? So what's her name? I don't really care for her. I mean, it is what it is. It's whatever. Chelsea Handler did a TikTok about her not having kids and how like amazing and like how her life is so amazing because she doesn't have kids and stuff. And like all these white dudes just like started coming out of the woodworks like, you're so you got to be so depressed and unhappy and blah blah blah, this other crazy stuff that he was saying. It was nuts like what happened. So like I said, I don't really care for Chelsea Handler too much, but it was really, really funny to see. Did I just dye my hair? I did on Friday. You have to leave now, Les Bones. Back to work, or are you going to hop on the bus? Have a good day, Les Bones. You saw it, Nikki? Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought this was hilarious. This shit is so funny. We'll watch this one, and then we'll watch her remarks from Tucker Carlson. So let's check this out. This shit was so funny.
It's me, Chelsea Handler, cis white female, chilling in my trans-friendly bathroom. Because I'm trans-friendly, my bathroom is open to anyone except closeted Republicans. They get pretty freaky in airport bathrooms, so imagine what they would do with this body. Transgender people are some of the bravest people I know. They have the courage to live their lives authentically, despite being shunned and discriminated against.
This is not the one. Wait, Chelsea, you messed with me.
Oh, hello. It's me, Chelsea Handler, cis white female.
She messed with me. She changed it. Here we go.
This is a day in the life of a childless woman. I wake up at 6 a.m. I remember that I have no kids to take to school, so I take an edible, masturbate, and go back to sleep. I wake up at 12:30 p.m. and get ready for a busy day of doing whatever the I feel like. I put on my most impractical and stylish shoes since I won't be chasing a child around the grocery store. I go to my fave spot in Paris to grab a croissant. I do a meditation sesh on the plane since I have no screaming kids, allowing me all the time in the world to become enlightened. The weightlessness of my existence has granted me superhuman powers. I teleport myself back home. Then I get ready for a night out with whatever hot guy I met on Raya that morning. I call up a babysitter and tell her that I don't need her since I still don't have kids. Now it's time for a workout, so I hit Mount Everest for a quick climb. I invent a time machine, go back in time, and kill Hitler.
Freeze, you bastard!
It's amazing what you can do when you have this much free time. And that's a day in the life of a childless woman.
Now, obviously, as you could tell, it's obviously a joke, man. But did the Republican side really go off on her, man? This shit was funny as hell.
Hold a day in the life of a childless woman. The point is to make you feel good about being an aging, deeply unlikable woman who never had kids. Narcissism, it makes you happy.
Feminists like Chelsea Handler, they've been lied to by their society forever, that you could be a girl boss and you can do anything a man can do, which everyone who's ever seen a woman back up a vehicle knows that's not true. Your womb resembles a dried up tumbleweed blowing down an old Western town, and your Valentine's Day date for the 10th year in a row is a 10-year-old copy of Magic Mike and a half-full bottle of Xanax, and you're trying to pretend like you're happy, but you're not happy.
This lady is miserable. I mean, she is miserable, and it's written all over her face how miserable she is.
Oh my God. Can you even imagine All I gotta say is I'm sorry, YouTube. No, I'm not gonna F these men. F those men. I'm sorry. I can't with these dudes. I can't with these dudes. Oh, I can't with these dudes. How are you going to tell a girl that she's unhappy and that her groin, her cooch is like a dried up tumbleweed? How dare him? Just because she decided to not have kids? Wow. I tell people, if you don't want to have kids, don't do it. Do not have kids if you don't want to. I'm telling you, because there's a lot of us that were forced, that got pregnant. There's a lot of religions out there that don't allow abortions. There's still a lot of people that growing up like that, to where we just had to have these kids. Like there's if you don't want to have kids, don't. It's your life. Like, don't let these white ugly ass dudes tell you whether or not you're happy because you decided to have kids or not. Let's see what she has to say about it. She'll probably take it a lot better than I do.
Hey everyone, I woke up this morning, well, more like this afternoon, and noticed that there was an emergency meeting of the Receding Hairline Society to discuss a comedy video I filmed about not wanting kids. Wow. Why would I even need my own children when I get to hear these crybabies all the time? I mean, I can't believe that bearded version of Tucker Carlson thinks I would take half a bottle of Xanax. I take way more than that, you silly goose. But I don't want to debate whether or not I'm a girl boss, although I did just look at my bank account and think that's pretty girl boss. And then I thought about the 10 different people, plus 10 plus different people I've been able to put through college. And then I remembered my 6 New York Times best-selling books. Or was it 5? Oh, no, it was 6. And then I remember my recent stand-up special that was just released on Netflix called Revolution. And I thought, yeah, you are a girl boss. You guys seem so triggered.
Fucking get it, girl. Fucking get it.
By me. I mean, my goodness, Tucker. I think it is time for you to ask yourself a serious question. Are you really upset about how much freedom I have? Or are you upset that you haven't been able to take it away from me yet? Oh, and quick shout out to Ben Shapiro. Thank you for helping my cause of not having children. Who needs the birth control pill when your voice is 100% effective? I don't need a husband, Ben, because I'm in a relationship with myself. And at least in my relationship, someone can get a woman to come. And by all means,
she went there. She went there with the WAP. She went there with the Ben Shapiro WAP. And I'm here for it. All the pettiness, 100%. I love this for her. I'm here for this. What's up, Rivethead? Good to see you. Thank you for coming over on Twitch.
Tucker, if you want to respond to my triggers, I will be happy to keep putting out videos as long as you want. I think we both know that you hate masturbating to me, and I'm down with that.
Hold
and I'm down with that. You cannot tell me, like, even though she's a shit lib, of course, that shit's still fucking funny. That shit was still hilarious. So, let's see, what else do I got? Have you guys ever heard, or I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of this kid. There was a missing persons. There was a missing kid. Missing. Is it McCann? Yes, missing Madeline McCann. Okay. So the TikTok is off the hook right now. There's like this guy that's going around. So there's this girl right here. I don't know if you guys remember this. This was a long time ago. She was a missing persons report. The reason why she stood out and was very popular about this is because she has this little thing under her eye that, kind of made it stand out a little bit. Oh, you can't see my cursor. Of course you can't. But there's recently been a Polish woman who's claiming to be this girl, this little missing girl. And it's crazy to hear. So I'm going to show you guys the TikTok of it first. So you guys can see what this guy is saying. Of course. I'm sorry about the sound in the background, you guys. Okay.
A little bit more information as to why this Julia person is saying that she believes she's Madeleine McCann, and I figured I would share that with you guys. This apparently started with something that her grandmother said. Now, we don't know what that is, but it started her on this journey, which has led her to believe that she is Madeleine. And there are some weird things here along the way. So first off, she wanted to get a copy of her birth certificate. They wouldn't give her an actual copy, but they would tell her information over the phone, which is a little sus. Julia also says that she doesn't remember much of her childhood, but one memory she claims is very vivid is that when she was very little, being in a hot place on holiday with her parents, and white buildings. Now, the apartments that they were staying at the resort were, in fact, white. She's also shared a number of physical attributes that she believes are similar to Madeleine's. For example, first you have this eye defect, which is called a coloboma. It affects 1 in more than 10,000 births, so it is pretty rare. You can see it here, and you can see it here. There's also several other photos that I put on my Instagram page and gave a link to Julia's Instagram if you guys want to check that out. She also says that the shape of her face, ears, lips, and the gap between her teeth are the same as Madeleine's. Then there are some weird things about her parents. She has straight up asked her parents if they would do a DNA test, and they told her no. They just flat out refused. Then in the same regard, talking to her parents about it, her mother said that she refuses to talk about the past, to leave it there, and just to move forward with the future. And her father said, what difference would it make anyways if the DNA came back and he wasn't her biological dad? And then, of course, there's the alleged link with the German child abuser. And at this point, the McCanns have agreed, or even, I think, asked to do a DNA test with Julia as soon as they're able to. And I was in one of Julia's lives earlier today, and I believe the DNA test should be there in the next couple of days. But whether we think it's Madeleine or we don't think it's Madeleine, the parents think that there's enough there for them to want to do a DNA test. So I guess we'll find out. And of course, make sure to follow because I will keep you updated as this progresses. So I found out a little bit more information.
Crazy, right?
The person is saying that she believes she's Madeleine.
This shit's nuts to me. And then I was like, right now when I was looking up the girl's name online, there is people talking about it on the internet. Like right here, Polish woman claims to be missing toddler. Young woman from Poland is claiming to be Madeleine McCann, British toddler who disappeared 16 years ago while on holiday with her family in Portugal. The story of 22-year-old Julia Wendell went viral on social media this week after she claimed she has proof that she is in fact the missing girl. Crazy, right? According to Wendell, who has resemblance to Gary and Kate McCann, says she has the same eye deformity that the little girl has and was abused by a German man who was the key suspect in the disappearance. 3-year-old Madeleine McCann went missing on the evening of May 3rd, 2007, while vacationing with her family. At the time of her disappearance, the young girl was sleeping in a holiday apartment with her siblings while her parents were dining at a nearby restaurant. When her mother came in to check on her later that evening, she discovered that Madeleine was missing. The McCann family are reportedly in contact with Wendell and are working on having her DNA tested to check if she's a match in media reports. Now, from what I heard, the DNA thing they're doing is like an Ancestry.com one because I guess the police officers and the police department isn't taking this that seriously about it. The parents are and the girl is, but the police department isn't. So they're not really getting very serious about giving her a DNA. So they're going to like I said, an Ancestry or 22andMe one kind of thing. It's trying so hard to not say white people look so similar. It's so true though. I'm even noticing it. Wendell said that she first learned about the missing case when she started researching because of discrepancies in her parents' stories about her childhood. While the missing girl would be 19 years old, Wendell believes that her parents could have lied about her age. She also claims that to never have seen pictures of her mother pregnant. The memories are very blurry, and when she talked about them with her parents, she didn't. They said things she said they didn't match up. They always try to change the subject. So she also said her teachers are at school, said that she didn't always attend school, but her parents insisted that she did. After all that confusion, she started doing her own research, and she discovered what happened to Madeleine McCann, and then she started connecting dots. She says it's stressful trying to get people to believe her. A source close to the McCann family told the Sunday Mirror that the family was going to check all references and would not be taking any risk when it comes to finding their missing daughter. So they're getting it. They're doing it. That shit's crazy to me. I remember hearing about this story and the fact that it's like still this girl just came out of nowhere and was like, I'm her, just by putting pieces together. We don't know yet for sure, but man, oh man, is this a crazy, interesting story that probably one of the most popular missing children's cases that I've ever came across in the past. So, yeah, it's crazy. So this one is from 5 hours ago. I think people are just now starting to come out with it. The police department isn't coming or commenting publicly. Oh, so this girl is like posting stuff on her own Instagram as well, which is kind of interesting. Why police still don't listen to me, why they don't want to talk. I really have to talk with Kate and Gary, please. You could be my parents. I want to know the truth. I beg, help me. See, that's like the coloboma. It's the eye thing that I was telling you guys about. That shit's nuts, like how close that is to her. Oh, wait, did you guys? Oh, you guys didn't even see. Shit. It went to the other screen, and I'm just like looking at it. Here we go. There you go. So there's the little girls. And then here is hers now. Did you see that? So this is her Instagram page, which is kind of cool. I mean, she's like been doing her own, looks like her own investigative work. Hey now. Hey. Miss lady. Stop. Stop. It's just the neighbors going to check on the chickens. Did or can it not, the biological parents have a DNA test put on file and documented when the girl, then when the girl is of legal consent age, she can do the test herself. Right. That's why I think that she's like thinking, she's like doing this work herself. And she's wanting, like I said, she's reached out to the parents already. So she's already doing the necessary things that she needs to do. And she's of age and all of that. She's even showing like a dimple there. She's got a little dimple. I don't know. I kind of don't see like except for the eye thing. Just the way like her, but she is still a toddler right here. So like the jawline right here, how she's got, see her cheeks are poofing out right here, but then she's got the oval here. Her face could have changed though. So I know it's really sad what happened to her, to the little girl. This was such a big case too. This is such a big case. She's asking if the Metro Police in the UK can talk to her. That's crazy. You could see she's just really trying to get out there. She's shared baby photos provided by her grandma to social media. She said she cannot personally accept them as legitimate. If alive, she would be 19. They're going to put an ad up right now. She's old enough to remember. Just give her some hypnosis therapy. Oh, you got to take off. All right. I'll check you later, Shake. And thanks for stopping by. The response to Wendell's claims online has been intensely polarizing. Many are calling for London's Metropolitan Police to investigate. Here we go. Oh, shit. Yes, I'm sorry. I shared the window and I forgot to share the right thing with the audio. You're correct. Sorry about that. Here we go.
In this German prison may be answers to a mystery that has stumped police for 13 years. According to reports, the new suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann is locked up in this institution. Police aren't releasing his identity yet, but say their investigation is for suspicion of murder.
Wegen des Verdachts des Mordes.
From this, the state prosecutor says, you can see that we assume the girl is dead. That is not something authorities have said since 3-year-old Madeleine disappeared. And the reason for the
not
change
all the
appears
time,
to be the suspect.
Lana. Sometimes at those ages, if the trauma is too much for children, they end up, you can get dissociative identity disorder where you won't remember a lot of things. A lot of children put those, try to forget them. It takes a long time, and it takes a lot of therapy and age and time to start realizing what happened to you in your past. You can definitely wipe out a lot of your memory as a child if it's that bad. There's an entire community on YouTube of a dissociative identity disorder, it used to be known as multiple personality disorder, but now it's DID.
Ground. Back in 2007, at the time Madeleine was taken, the suspect lived in this home in Portugal. By car, it's only a few minutes from the resort where she'd been staying with her family.
Nach unseren Erkenntnissen,
the prosecutor says the 43-year-old suspect made a living committing crimes, among them breaking into hotels and holiday apartments. He also has multiple convictions for sexual crimes, including the sexual abuse of children. Now, police have had hundreds of leads over the years and several suspects, but have never found who took Madeleine from her bedroom in this resort complex. She'd been left in an apartment with 2 siblings while her parents went for dinner with friends at a nearby restaurant. When they went to check on her, she was gone. The McCanns issued a short statement online thanking police for their continued efforts and saying they still hold out hope of finding their daughter alive. But a family spokesperson says they are realistic and at this point just want to understand what happened.
They need to know as they need to find peace.
German, British, and Portuguese police are all working this lead. They're releasing photographs of the suspect's vehicles and asking anyone who thinks they know the suspect to come forward. Because he's behind bars, they say there's nothing to fear by going to police with information. Mike Armstrong, Global News.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's such a sad case that this happened to this little girl. I mean, I hope that maybe this other woman now can get answers, maybe at least find out if she is or isn't. Wouldn't that be really cool if she was, though? What a great ending to a story. I mean, obviously the life would have to be really crap, but at least it would be a good ending to it if they could have their daughter back and it ends up being like a match with the DNA. So that would be really, really cool. All right. So I think I'm done. I'm going to get out of here. I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm starting to get hungry. I know that there's other people talking about some really awesome stuff right now that is live. So yeah, for sure. Go check them out. Go watch some other people's. I can't see anybody that's live right now. I don't know who it is or who else is live. But yeah, go check out other people. I'm gonna get off of here. Go take a shower. Go hang out. Looks like RBN is live right now talking about some interesting stuff. I think they're still talking about the I think they're still talking about the Rachel Maddow thing and all of that. So that's cool. Go check them out. I will link for RBN. Yes, thank you, Nikki. And thank you, Lana. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Norman, John, Shake and Bacon, Les Bones, Warren, Peter, Taryn. I'm starting to go up. Rivet Head, Jesus. Let's see. Les Bones. That's in Russian. I can't read that. I'm sorry. Anybody else that I missed? Brad, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for the super tips today. I will check you all later. And thank you so much. Bye.